Hey there, adventurers. I'm Norwolf, and welcome to my role-playing game realm and to episode 7 of my Powers and Perils solo play. So, when last we left our intrepid adventures, Gildor and Raffin had just returned to the town of Boon Quay, where Gildor had spent the week essentially repairing Raffin's armor, and at the same time convinced Raffin that he should learn how to repair his own damn armor. So, Raffin spent the week starting to learn the armorer skill. That week pretty much went uneventful otherwise. And we ended off on the... Oops, let's switch over here. We ended off on the 5th of June. And they're basically planning to head out from the town of Boon Quay over to the village of Goldedge the following day. So in preparation of that, they wanted to, well, Raffin needs to top up his rations a bit, his travel rations, and they should probably get some grain or something for the horses, just to supplement any grazing that the horses do. I guess always good to give them something a little bit more nutritional than just grasses or whatever that they find along the way. All right. Oh, so let's start with that. So under the equipment, oh, there we go. Oh, and you'll notice that I've printed off new copies of the version 2 of the rules. Got them bounded to some coil bindings for individual books. It seems to be a little bit little handier for referencing and stuff. So anyways, the Raffin requires 4 food points per day, whereas Gilder, the elf, only requires half a food point per day. So Gilder still has a lot of rations left. Raffin, on the other hand, should probably pick up a few, and I think we'll just have the party treasure pay for that. So, 1 brass bit per food point, and we're looking at a quarter pound of weight. So we'll probably get 3 days, I guess. So 12 more food points, and that's going to be 12 brass bit. And then for the horses, 10 pounds of grain provides 10 food points. The horses themselves require, under normal circumstances, they require 3 food points. Let's see. So do we want probably get 20 pounds worth? So let's just get 20 pounds worth. So that's 2 copper coins. We'll take that out of the brass bits as well. So 20 brass bits worth. Cool. All right. That takes care of our rations. I don't think there's anything else they're going to do that day. They've got their armor mostly repaired. Gilder's picked up some banded ringmail and a metal helm for himself while they were staying in town here. Whereas Raffin already had that, and he's picked up himself some leather armor and leather helm. Basically, at night, I'll let them sleep in their leather armor or lighter, but not in any sort of metal or heavier armor. So, gives them some protection if they get attacked in the middle of the night for some reason. And let's see what else has changed here. Aside from getting the new copy or printed out versions of the books here, flip over to got Fantasy Grounds up and running again. Gonna use this for some of the mapping at least. It's also a little bit easier to show on the map where they are and where they're going. Some of the more astute may notice that the map has been altered slightly. I've made the route from the capital, large town, small city, whatever, Caraketten, to the Ketten mine a little bit more direct. And Goldedge is basically halfway through. And Goldedge is a small fortified village that caters to a lot of the gold miners, the people that do panning for gold in the mountains and the streams that come from the mountains, as well as supporting the Ketten mine, which is kind of the mine run by the kingdom and probably the most prosperous of the mines in the kingdom. So the trip from Boon Quay up to Gold Edge is along this this road, although there's no kind of differentiation between the types of roads here. This trail, because it is a little bit less used, is probably more of a trail than a road, somewhere in between. So it doesn't get nearly as much traffic as some of these other routes, like between the town of Boon Quay up to Carricketton, or from Carricketton to the town of Cloverlass. Map itself, there's a couple other little icons added on here. There's some herds of wild horses out in the plains to the west, as well as up to the northeast. Yeah, but the next day, our travelers here are going to be heading out from Boon Quay. Each hex is 5 miles. The movement rates do get affected by the terrain. So if we pop back to the book here, book 2, they do talk a little bit about movement and the types of movement. So when we're traveling, again, it's based on a strategic scale, and typically on the larger strategic maps or continental type maps, you'll have 20 miles to a hex. We're doing 5 miles here, so. But the strategic turn itself is 12 hours, so the day is broken up into two 12-hour turns. One for kind of during the day travel, and then one for night, whether you're camping or in the city or something like that, or in the civilized area. The movement rates, again, I think I mentioned this before, but there's kind of two ways of looking at the movement rate. Either the movement during a strategic turn equals the movement rate in miles for a character or creature, or we can just go on an average, and that's what I kind of been doing previously, is just saying 10 miles per strategic turn when they were walking, or 20 miles per turn when they're riding, or 40 miles when they're flying. Our horses, because they have a nice rounded off movement rate, the movement rate on these 1.2 times riding horses is, where is it here? Movement rate of 25. So with a number like that, I think I'm going to just have work with the 25 miles per day, kind of a standard movement rate for these guys that they're riding. But that does get modified. So let's see, where does it say here? The referee may modify these values based on the terrain and speed at which the players wish to move, and other factors. So what I do have here is some house rules around just movement rates. So again, I think I've shown this in one of the previous videos, but we're mounted, so traveling through the plains, it's 1 for 1, so 1 movement factor per mile. So again, the horses are moving 25 miles, or can move 25 miles in a strategic turn. They're just traveling across the plains, they could do 25 miles. If we're traveling on a road, that gets cut in half, so they could actually go 40 miles in a day, or actually 50 miles in a day. It does seem like a lot, but anyways, well, I guess we'll stick with that for the moment. And but then that gets modified by, again, the terrain that they're moving through. So, hey, before I forget again, I should do the experience that Gildor should have got for casting his purification and his knowledge spells. So let's redo that, and we can carry on with the next day. Gildor, so he cast purification. He has Purification Elder, which he has at EL 0. That's base mana cost 2. And he cast Knowledge Elder, or Elder Aligned Knowledge at EL 0 as well, and that's base mana cost 5. So the magic experience points that he would get for that, based on the EL plus 2 times the base mana cost, which in this case is 4 magic experience points for the purification and 10 magic experience points for the knowledge. And with that 14, he also gets 1 characteristic that he can apply to anything except strength and ability, I do believe. So magic gains. Strength, yeah, not 1 characteristic per 25 magic experience points gained, round up, except strength or agility. And then expertise points is 2 times the base mana cost, which in this case is the same. He gets 14 magic experience points, and he gets 4 expertise in purification and 10 expertise in knowledge. So 14, pretty sure that doesn't make it go up. And I've already added the 4 and the 10 here. Right, and then grab the food, all the rest, and then so we're ready to go on to June 6th, next day. They spend an uneventful evening at in Boonquay. So I made some changes to the map. I kind of streamlined a little bit of the road here. I added in some hills and some reason for the road to kind of avoid the taller hills and all the rest. And Goldidge is midpoint between Caer Ketton and the Ketton mine. The roads between, quality of the roads between the different settlements isn't designated on here, but the road between Boonquay and Goldidge is one of the less traveled roads, so it's probably more of a trail. We'll be dealing with that as a trail rather than a main road for purposes of travel. But the travel itself, and of course I've got my handy little books here. Not look around miscellaneous pages out of a binder again. And travel-wise, well, let's get into the next day first. All right, so daily steps. We don't have any. We've done our skill gains from the previous day that I basically forgot to do with his two spell casts. The food points, nothing used because they were staying at the inn, and I paid for food at the inn. Current day. All right, weather. Handy weather chart. So 2d6 on June. Got a 7. 7 sends us straight down, which we pop into a sunny day at the other end. Erase this. Pro tip: don't use dry erase markers on a satin finish thermal cover. It just sticks on there like no tomorrow, doesn't come out. To using water soluble. So we come out here. So hot sunny day as they travel through the woods. Mana regen. Gildor gets the last 2 mana points back that he had spent. And let's see, healing. I don't think anybody's hurt. Any additional spell casting that day? I think so. So basically their plans for the day are to travel towards Goldidge. Of course, flip over to the Gold Edge map. So this little trail here is more of, or sorry, this path between Boon Quay and Gold Edge is more of a trail rather than a road. And from our traveling rules, we're going to assume this is more hills than forest because the trail's been basically cut through the forest. We're looking at a 1.5 times, well, 1.5 move factor per hex. So it takes 7.5 move to get through 1 hex. So we're following a road, or a trail, which reduces it down to 0.75 of the cost, which I believe works out to about 5.625 or something like that. So basically, it's roughly just over 4 movement points to get through this first hex with just the trees on flat land essentially, and then they get up into the hills. And when all said and done, it's basically a day's worth of travel by horseback to get to Gold Edge. They were still walking, they'd be camping somewhere probably halfway through, out in the forest somewhere. So they set out that day, heading down this rutted trail with left by the occasional passage of wagons and the other travelers that occasionally make their way back and forth between the town and the village of Gold Edge. And midday, something happens, and I took the liberty of pre-rolling an encounter. But if we look at the book 3 encounters and creatures book, I used the forest encounter table. I did a -15 because it is a little bit more of a dangerous path and less traveled. So normally 0 to 10, or 1 to 10 is creature, 11 to 25 is a human encounter, and 26 or higher is none. And I ended up with a creature encounter for that day. And when I rolled on whether it was table A or B, basically a die 2, ended up with table B, and I ended up rolling a forest giant. So our characters come across a forest giant. Of course, you can't see that because I hadn't switched maps. Try this again. Great. So rolled under the forest encounter. So 1 to 10 would be a creature, 11 to 25 would be a human, and 26 to 100 would be none. And I applied a -15 multiplier just because the path here between the town of Boon Quay and the village of Gold Edge is less traveled and definitely a more dangerous area. And when I rolled the die 2, ended up with day B. And here I rolled I think it was a 78 or something like that. So I rolled a forest giant. And when we look at forest giants, they're not exactly necessarily going to be an easy fight. So they have 48 hit points, an offensive combat value of 15, a defensive combat value of 3, strength of 88, which gives them a plus 4 damage strength bonus, which means if this guy was to score a deadly hit, that's 4d10, and a stamina of just 30. Decent constitution, damage tolerance value of -5, but he fights all the way to -5. But but doesn't die until he's at -20. Size 6, so he's rather large. Magic defense value 14, so he's relatively resistant to spells. And 192 inches tall, or on average, or 768 pounds. So let's take a look at the creature variation table. See if this guy's going to be a normal forest giant or a slightly modified one. We've got a 27. That makes him 0.9 and 1.4. So that means the hit points, natural impact index, damage tolerance value, everything, all the various stats here get multiplied by 0.9. And his dex and agility get multiplied by 1.4. So Philosophy has a chance of going up, and some of his other stats have a chance of going down, so it might be a little bit easier to fight. All right, so I have a handy spreadsheet to take care of the multiplications for me, just life a little bit easier. For our forest giant here at 0.9, 1.4 as and I'm assuming there's only one of them. We have in hit points 44. We have an OCV of 14, ECV of 4, strength of 80, plus 4. Don't think I have to worry about stamina, dexterity, or agility at this point. Work his constitution, his movement rate. 14. Going to be 4343. Yeah, that's right. And what else do I have here? MDV of 13. And a combat difficulty factor of 5. 5. Of course, he fights 2 minus 5. I think that's all I need at the moment. So, let's get into a fight here. Of course, next day, head it out. And let's find out how far away these guys are. So, do a quick read on the giant itself. So the hill giant, or sorry, the forest giant is a repulsive boar-tusked humanoid. Forest giants are lightly furred and heavily muscled and stupid. The average giant of this type is 16 feet. Forest giants are voracious. They favor human and sid flesh. When fighting these creatures, they fight until the enemy is killed or they die. When not hunting, the forest giant enjoys destroying trees, ripping off branches, and tearing them out of the ground as a fine sport. They often carry large branches and use them as clubs. I'm going to assume that this guy has a big, massive club. Here. Well, and that's about it. Okay, cool. So, let's get into a battle here. It's handy. Let's see, keep book. Oops. We'll keep book 2 handy just in case I do a spell. And counter distance. So this thing is going to be tromping and stomping its way through the woods, making all sorts of noise and whatnot. So I'm going to assume that Gildor and Raffin are not surprised or not ambushed by this thing. But I guess they have a chance of ambushing it. So when we get into the encounter setup, we need book 3 for a moment still. Oops, that's book 1. Book 3 for a moment here. Encounters, hunting, ambush. I'm going to assume that this is in the forested area, so 30% base chance. The highest DL is going to be Gildor's, as we've kind of established in the past. Gildor has a forest survival of 8. So it's going to be a 38% chance of ambushing the giant. 16. Excellent. So they actually ambush the giant. So in an ambush, they will start a die 6 X's away, or at least within one movement of the giant. Let's get over to our fantasy grounds. And I've got a battle map set up on here. Oops. There we go. So this guy, I'm going to assume, is over here eating on some trees and whatnot. These hexes are going to be 10 feet to be in line with what's kind of the standard rules for Powers and Perils, just to make life easier for myself. So they will start about, let's see, about that far away. So their phase 1 movement rate is 3 for both Gildor and for Raffin. This first round they're moving and attacking, they're doing their thing, the giant isn't aware of them. So they'll be basically sneaking in behind them. If Gildor is wanting to cast a spell, he's probably going to do his usual Smokeless Flame, because it has the highest chance of doing some decent damage to this thing. Mind you, he's also casting against a pretty high MDV, but I guess you only live once. Hopefully he lives through this to reap the rewards of that, and actually succeeds in casting the spell. So Smokeless Flame, base mana cost 4. He has an expertise 2 or 3, depending on whether he succeeds in his language. So let's start with phase 1. So phase 1. And then phase 1, we start with mana allocation. Then we do any missile fire. Then we get into magic effect if any spells go off, and then we do movement and melee. So Raffin's going to charge in and take a swing at the rear of this guy while he's not aware of us. And Gildor is going to try his language. He's using language, which is Tongue of the Giant. So he has a 60% chance, EL 60, so he has a 60% chance of succeeding in that. 51, so his language is successful. So he's effectively able to cast the spell at EL 3 now. So base mana cost 4, EL 3. He's you can cast it at ELs 0, 1, 2, or 3. And he needs either 4, 6, 8, or 10 mana combined to cast, depending on the level. He's MEL 4, if I remember correctly. MEL 4, or Magic Experience level 4. And he's casting at EL 3. So he can gather 4 mana per phase. Means he's going to cast it at EL 2. So he's got 2 phases. So it won't go off this first phase, but it will go off the second phase. And he'll actually be able to get a spell off before the giant has a chance to attack. Excellent. Yeah, assuming he succeeds in casting, that is. So that's what he's doing the first phase. So he's gathered... He's collected 4 mana so far. And no magic effect yet. Gildor Raffin, on the other hand, is looking to swing at this giant. Raffin has an OCD of 8. That's against the giant's DCV of 4. So Raffin is attacking on the +4 line. And he is subtracting his, he's fighting with his new brand spanking new bastard sword. So he's subtracting, oops, this one down here. He's subtracting 6 for his EL. He's fighting offensively. So he can either subtract 6 from his roll or add 6 to the opponent's roll. So for this first round, he's going to be subtracting a 6. So he is attacking from the rear. So the defender is ambushed, taken from the rear or unaware of the attacker. The other note about here is when the defender is in this position, any deadly hit is fatal. Severe hits are deadly, hits are severe, and shield hits are hits. So, any way we look at it, Raffin's going to hit. It's just a matter of how severe is, or how massive is this hit actually going to be. Right. So, as I said, he's on the +4 line. He's subtracting 6 from, or actually, he's subtracting more than 6 from his roll. Subtracting his EL6 plus his 20. So he's subtracting 26 from this roll. So 42 plus 26 is what? 16? That's going to be hit, which becomes a severe hit because of the defender is unaware. On a severe hit, Raffin is doing with his magic sword here. Oh, plus he's actually got another -4 on that. That's 38 minus, ooh, this could be interesting. So the 4% chance off is to hit. So 38 minus is 26. Going to be interesting. 12. So 12 is actually a severe hit, which becomes a deadly. Oh, deadly hit. Oh, this suddenly got really interesting. On a deadly hit, he is doing 3d10 plus 9. So that's going to be plus 9 because of his 6 skill and his 6 skill and his +3 weapon strength bonus. And the strength is already baked into the 3d10. He's got probably a decent chance of damaging his sword here with a fatigue value of 7. If he exceeds the 17, he's going to do 1 point damage to the sword. That's not that great. That's what, 12? And 9, so 21. So yep, definitely 1 point of damage to the sword. And he does natural armor value and the natural armor value. Natural armor value of the giant is natural armor value is 2. So 21 points less 2 is 19. 19 points of damage from Raffin with his bastard sword. 8. Oh, and of course, that meant Raffin actually moved up to the giant. Oops. Raffin actually moved up to the giant and attacked from behind. Assume the giant was kind of facing into the tree here that he was ravaging. So, all right. I don't think I need the battle map at this point. Gildor is going to get a spell off next phase and move up in the phase after that and attack, assuming the giant is still up. So let's just clear that out of the way here. And I'm going to focus on the desktop here. So that's it for movement and melee. Phase 2. Raffin and his spell. Or sorry, Gildor and his spell. He gathers his final 4 mana points. And he casts his Smokeless Flame EL2. And if we look up Smokeless Flame here, we'd actually know what this does. I've used it so often. But I guess for the sake of argument here, let's just double check. Time, speed, on it. Oh, Smokeless Flame. So we are doing 3d10 plus EL times 4. 3d10 plus EL times 4. Oops. Keep moving things around. This anymore. We'll keep this handy. Other notes handy. Other handy. And this close to the top. Oh, actually, let's make sure we actually get the spell off first. So MDV 14. And we are subtracting the EL times 2 from his roll. So he's casting at EL 3. So it's 6 minus 6 plus 14 going to be plus 8. 0, 8. 0 there. And that's a success. So, spell effect itself, EL 2 was 8, so 3d10 plus 8 damage. Oh, can you believe that? 3 ones? 11 points. Of course, natural armor value doesn't block any of that. Gildor with his smokeless flame. We're at what, 30? He's got 14 left. All right, that means we are in movement and melee. So Gildor cast, he's not moving. The giant has an OCV of 14, which puts him on the +3 line for order. And of course our heavy sword dude is at 7, so he's at well after. The giant is swinging at Raffin. So Raffin has a DCV of 8. Giant is OCV 14, so that gives us a +6 line. And he's using his club, so he's not subtracting anything, giving me any sort of club skill or anything like that. He's on the +6. We do 54. That is a shield hit. So he is doing D6 plus strength bonus, so D6 plus 4 plus the weapon strength bonus. Remember a club. To the equipment table quickly here. And a club. Where are you, club? Going to be weapon strength bonus of 0. So D6 plus 4. And we have 4. 8. So 8 points of damage to the shield. Of course, Raffin is using his new shield, which actually I don't believe he actually has a shield skill in. It could be 0. Correct. Be 0. This is an 8. So it's more than half. Oh, and that's a new shield, so well, I guess it now has 1 point of damage on it. But it was exactly 8, so it didn't exceed it, so it didn't break the shield. Was it equivalent to equaling the shield? Let's look that one up. Back to the combat book here. And if we look up equipment damage, armor, I have a feeling he's just broken his brand new shield. Shields. The AV listed for the shield is the amount of damage that it can block. If this value is exceeded, the shield is destroyed, and any excess damage is taken by the shield user. So we didn't exceed it, we had actually got it exactly. Yeah, so if the example here is AV 13, so if 13 hits or less is scored, damage is blocked. If 14 or more is scored, the shield is destroyed, and the wielder takes any excess damage. Cool. Right, so Raffin, you are swinging back at this thing, not without a minus 26 anymore, just a minus 6 on the +4 line. So, and it's just Raffin attacking at the moment, so no additional minuses for fighting the giant fighting more than one foe. And 28 less 6, actually less an additional 4 from the magic sword, so minus 10 is 18. That's going to be a hit. He is doing a D6 plus 5, which is his weapon strength bonus of the weapon plus his strength bonus. So D6, 5. We did 11. Plus 2 for the natural armor value, so 9. I'm going to come out of this battle with quite the winner here for experience. Bastard sword again. So we are at, I say, 20, 30, 39. He's got 5. Goes to minus 5. So a total of 10 hit points left. And that is it for phase 2. So phase 3. We have mana location, missile fire, or mana location. Nothing missile fire, we don't have any magic effect, none movement to melee. We'll have the giant swinging, and we've of course got Gildor moving up. So the giant swings at Raffin. Again, he's on the +6 line, and of course Raffin has a shield skill of 0, so he's not subtracting anything there. Let's see. 79, that is going to be a miss. So the giant misses. I'm going to let Gildor swing first. I think there's actually... They're both using bastard swords? Oh, no. Gildor, yeah, so they're both using heavy weapons, essentially. Whether it's a bastard sword or a heavy sword or an axe, they're on the same line. And the tiebreaker on that situation, when it comes to characters... Actually, if I remember correctly, since they're both attacking at the same time during the phase, they can both do that 10 points of damage to the creature, and both actually get experience for finishing off the creature. Let me double check where that is. Okay, so after a quick pause here, I went and flipping through the books, and in book 1, on page 58, it talks about death wounds. So when the wound that is struck is sufficient to drive the victim into unconsciousness or kill him, the person that scored the hit will receive his normal experience for the hit points scored, or experience based on kind of the remaining hit points times the DTV, or plus the DTV value. So the example here, here it is. So when more than one person hits the creature in a phase where it becomes unconscious or killed, all will receive the experience for the specified above. So basically, if they are both able to hit and both able to do damage and potentially finish off that 10 points of damage, they can both score up to 10 hit points worth of damage. Hopefully that makes sense, but we'll go through it here in a sec. So I won't be too worried about who's actually going first, since they're both swinging at it anyways. So Gildor has run up and drawn his sword as he's run up, and swings And I'm gonna use with his axe. He is on the OCD 5, so he's on the +1 line against the DCB of 4 for the giant. He is subtracting 3 for his EL and additional 5 because the two of them are fighting the giant, so -8 to his roll. So 16. That's a hit. Not going to be enough to kill, but it's going to be enough to at least get some experience with his axe. It's a hit with his axe, die 6 + 2. So 7 points, so 5 points actually get through with his armor value. So 5 points get through, so he's at 0. Now, can Raffin actually hit with his -10 on the +6 line? Or was it +6? +4 line. And oh, deadly. Crap. It's times like this when you don't want a deadly, because that just means you're damaging your equipment. And that's going to be enough to do at least 10 points or more. So how much is he doing here? Oh, 19 plus 9, so 28 points of damage. That's another point off his brand new magic sword. Going to be Gildor's going to get, or Raffin's getting credit for 10 points of damage. Bastard sword. And the giant drops, which is a good thing. So, and then of course, after each battle or encounter, you dish out the experience and any gains. So let's do that in a sec here. Actually, let's start with that. Okay, so let's start with Raffin and his combat gains. So creature has a combat difficulty factor of 5. It means for every point of damage that Raffin successfully inflicted on this creature, getting 5 combat experience points. So he's got 19, 28, with 38 points of damage for Raffin. And again, the reason he's only getting credit for that 10 points is at -5, the creature is basically unconscious, and the remaining 15 hit points that it's got after that are not worth any experience. He did 5 as well as the -5. So 10, 19, yep, 38. 38 times 5 is going to be 190 combat experience. And he's getting the MDV, creature CDF times 2 in his weapons that he's got or used in this. CDF times 2. So his shield was hit. That's 10 for a shield. And 10 for his bastard sword. And with his 190 combat experience points, he's actually also getting, per 50 combat experience points round up, he's getting 1 characteristic. So that's 4 characteristics. Now, with the rules, he's only allowed to put half of those in any one stat, and with combat experience points, you can put it into any of the stats. You're not restricted to as with magic, where you can't put it into strength or agility. So he is going to probably work on his stamina. So he's going to throw 2 in there. Let's bring up his character sheet, his spreadsheet. I'm here. Here is Raffin. Opening up the spreadsheet. All right. Now we can flip over here. So Raffin, you are putting 2 into your stamina, which popped him over. So his stamina bonus went up by 1, which means his OCV has gone up to 9 now instead of 8. 9. Stamina bonus up 2. What else is this one up? Healing chance went to 4. Actually, I guess let me put the other 2 points in somewhere here as well. Let us bump his. You know what, let's throw that into agility. So we'll put 2 points in agility. Make that a 20. A 20. I think that made any other changes here. So 9. Oh, and let's add in his combat experience points. So 190. So let's see. Plus 190. He's getting there. Another 75 combat experience points, and he's combat experience level 6. I think that's it. And we've got a few things on here. So minus 2 points of damage there. I don't think there's a chance of it breaking at this point. Look at damage, weapons. And the damage inflicted target exceeds the fatigue value of the weapon, it's reduced by 1. The weapon does not break regardless of current fatigue value. A weapon will never break automatically. Negative values serve to increase the chance. If the damage inflicted is double the fatigue value of the weapon or more, the weapon may break. Not double. Oh, it wasn't double. That would have had to have been 32 points of damage for more than 32 points of damage for it to have a chance of break. Nice thing about magic swords is they're less likely to break until you start whittling them down with damage. All right. All right, I might as well add in his heater shield. Got 10 expertise, which means went up to EL1. 4 points left, and his next EL is going to be 12. A little ways into getting towards EL2, which means we have a 1 here now. And comes in. So it needs to do more than his shield has to get hit by more than 9 points now for it to break, or more than 5 points for it to get damaged. Okay, so that is it for Raffin. So, Gildor, let's start with your spell. Oh, magic. He gets the. So he casts that spell at EL3. Or he was effectively casting it at EL3, although he cast it at EL2. That's going to be 5 times the MDV of the creature. MDV is 13. Going to be what, 65? 65 magic. And he gets, for 25 points, he gets, that's going to be one characteristic per 25 points, so 3 characteristics from that. Now for his combat hit, oops, sorry, I missed sword on Raffin. Bring Raffin back for a sec. I'm gonna unfinish skills. Look at his Peter shield. It's there, so 4 carried over. 1. Great sword. No, bastard sword. Got a 10 partial there, so that's going to be bumped up to 24. A little ways to go before that goes up. Oh, all right. Now we're done with him. Okay, Gildor. Gildor. Oops. Let's this for a sec. And as I said, magic experience points is the victim's MDV times the EL times +2. So like I said, he was casting it effectively at EL 3, even though he cast it, he used it at the spell at EL 2. So that's going to be 65 points there. And the experience he gets is the 2 times the MDV, so 26 expertise in his smokeless flame. Going to be a nice little boon for that because it needs 60 to go up, so plus 20. Like I said, 3 characteristics, and he will get. He did a total of 5 points of damage with his axe. So he's getting 5 times 5, 25 combat experience points. Plus 25. He's going up to MEL 4. Of course, I have to add the 65 over here. Let's bring up Gildor's spread. Load. All right. Oh, Gildor, what have you done? Oops, what am I doing? Okay. Gildor, spreadsheet. There we go. Okay, so he's got 208 plus. Let's put in a calculation here. 208 plus his 14 is 65. 287. Quite enough to go up a level. But over here, we get 25 combat experience points. Puts him at 474, which bumps him up to experience level 4, as I said. This up to 6 and 7. And I think that's it for changes there so far. And this 25 will give him 1 characteristic as well. He's getting 4 characteristics in total. We can use 2. Let's see. I'm going to use that 1 characteristic combat. Bump up his agility to 8. I'm going to put 2 of the 3 Oh, actually, you know what? Last time I forgot his one characteristic from his knowledge and purification spells. So put that into his intelligence to make that a 41. I've got 2 more points here. Let's put 2 into will, 37. And let's put 1 more into intelligence, so let's put a 42. So what does that do to his character sheet? Got ability of 18, intelligence of 42. Looks like I added it here, but didn't here. $37. Right. So his energy level is 6. What else is else really got affected yet? 48. Oh, with 8 mana. Good. Okay, and last but not least, his axe skill gets 10 piece his axe. Field never came into play here. Right, I think that's it. Okay, so that is everything for. Oh, and of course, the last but not least, the giant itself is a somewhat powerful and somewhat magical creature. So Gildor is going to do what he's kind of done with a few other creatures in the past. He's going to collect some parts, so to speak. I won't get into any details of what that might actually be, but just for the sake of argument here, it's kind of miscellaneous parts. I'm going to call this the Forest Giant. And we can use the skill test for this. I'm going to say it's going to be a combination of survival and maybe intelligence or something like that. I'm going to say it's probably a moderate difficulty task. It's just something he's been trained in. Problem solving. So when we're using a combination of characteristics and skills, we're basically applying that moderate rating to the skill use and moderate rating to the characteristic use. So the moderate skill use for survival is 10 times, because it's not an or 80 skill, it's the survival skill. That's going to be an 80%. And that's averaged with his, or added to his intelligence, which is a single skill use, so 2 times his intelligence. It's going to be 84, so he's got an 82% chance. So it's the 2 added together and divided by 2. He's got an 82% chance of extracting components from the giant. Be disappointed if he rolls too high, so 68. He's successful. And I'm going to give him probably by 3, so 2 parts. And this will come into play later when he gets into trying to do some magical crafting. Cool. All right, so that is that. They've succeeded in dispatching the giant. They've got their various and sundry combat experience points and expertise points in their weapons. So you've kind of seen their characteristics progress, their combat levels progress, their skills and their various weapons and whatnot skills, other stuff progress. He was successful in a survival roll here. Survival can actually go to, so that's a D10 expertise points for a successful skill use. We get 6 expertise in survival. That was forest. Plus 6. He bumps him up a level. This goes to 9. Correct the spreadsheet here in a moment. And he's actually maxed out now at 9 again. Actually, maybe not. It depends what his... Well, actually, let's take a look. It's worth taking a quick boo at. Spreadsheet open again. Closing things. Flip over. Oh, and he actually successfully used his language as well, so he gets a die 10 expertise in his language. Forgot about that. His language, his ability to speak that language is maxed out, so that becomes magic experience points. So 7 expertise for his language, which becomes 7 points over here. So let's add in 7 more. 294, getting there. Flip over to his skills. Oh, and yeah, so flip over to his skills. Yeah, so his max is still 9. So basically, with the additional 26 points, no, sorry, smokeless flame, that's one. With the additional 6 points here, comes 16, 1 point left over. That becomes a 9. That 1 leftover point, it actually becomes a combat experience point, so total them up to 475. Needs 750 for his next level. And spells. Actually, we'll add in his 26 over here, so that's 32. As I mentioned, the language he used is kind of the giant. Already maxed at 60 for speak. So he can't get any more partial here, or expertise points here, I mean. And have I got everything this time? I suppose I should add in his purification, the 4 expertise there, knowledge in there, and skills. We use the axe. Now at 12, halfway to the next level, and we're good. Okay, now we're finally done. So the rest of the day, they basically move the giant off to the woods somewhere, out of the way of anybody that happens to be traveling down the road from seeing it, to give anybody too much of a shock. And they make it over to, by the end of the kind of late afternoon, probably at this point, rather than kind of mid-afternoon. Probably kind of late when they finally make it into to Gold Edge. Gold Edge itself is a walled village, rather well fortified because of the trade that it does with gold and other precious metals and precious jewels and things like that. It's probably got one of the larger standing guards of any of the villages. Well, definitely of any of the villages for that matter. And back up to we can get rid of this. So these guys have traveled down the road and made it to Gold Edge. They make it up to the gates. The gates are typically closed for this village during the day. Anybody coming through has to seek permission to come in. Again, they're security's quite a bit higher here, as I said, or as I mentioned. So they've waved to the guards, explained why they're here. They'll actually ask to see the captain of the guard and mention to the make them aware that there was a forest giant out in out in the hills to the south of Gold Edge that they took care of. The guards that overhear this seem to be quite impressed and quite pleased, knowing that giants in general are not easy creatures to defeat. The town itself is a lot of stone structures, shale or thatched roofs. It's kind of a mixture. There's a smithy or two, an armor or two. There's a smelting facility here, a few other things like that. They make their way to the inn. I don't remember if I have a name for the inn for this place. Yes, the inn is aptly named the Sword and Arrow Inn. So the characters make their way over to the inn, get rooms for themselves for the night, and again, probably have this memorized by now, but I think it works out to a silver coin each for their room and their food. Equipment. So, miscellaneous, common manacles, lodging. So again, probably good inn as typical. So 6 copper for the 2 of them, plus their meals. And there's, so a silver coin, or 10 copper coin total. Right? They will take that off their party treasure. And we'll wrap it up there. Their next day, they will get information from the guards and go hunting for these orcs that have been harassing the travelers along the road here and see what they can do about that. Somewhere between Gold Edge and Getting Mine. So anyways, thanks for joining me, guys. Hopefully this was informative and a good continuing demonstration of kind of how these rules work. And, as I said, definitely not a rules light, but definitely, it really is, it shows the progression and changes in the evolution of the characters and their skills. And, a little bit more than just sitting around a campfire and telling tales without any rules. So anyways, we will talk to you later. Happy trails.